successful, the kind of professional development that is very hard to get anywhere. I'll tell you my experience since last year's Great Teachers Retreat. I have been stopped at I've attended maybe 6, 7 activities in the state, and I continually get stopped to ask me, how did we do it? How did we do it? People across the state are impressed at the kind of professional development that we're providing. I kid you not. I mean, it is impressive. They sit me down and say, how can we use the money? Can you use equity money? Can you do this money? Who did you invite? How did you do it? And it's a source of pride that I can, pull out my chest and say, yeah, we did this at our institution. I want to finish with saying that I attended the Disney Institute both days, on Thursday and Friday. It was an absolutely fascinating presentation both days of how one of the most successful companies in the United States sort of goes around what I understood to be PR. And although I took a lot of things out of it, I think the most important thing for me was their claim that the most important asset of any institution is their human resources. And they talked about that. They talked about having a ride that just cost them $400 million. But if the ticket taker does something wrong, that's it. It spoils the ride. Or going to a good restaurant and having the best service and the best food and the best scenery, everything perfect, but you find a hair in your food, and that's all you're going to talk about. So it's the kind of thing that we need to, and I think this professional development does that. It supports faculty, it supports staff, it supports administration, and it very much supports the kind of crossover conversation that we should be having. And let me end with this. I'm going to read you our goals because I didn't do it last year. And when we sit there, we put learning goals for all of our activities. And just so you see where we're guided, and I think it's very good. Our goals, our goals for this year's retreat for MJC and Columbia College is to develop clear and deeper understanding of student equity and how it relates to student services and institutional effectiveness. To create esprit de corps. In other words, the kind of thing that we're proud of MJC and of Columbia and of the district and of our educational potential, leading to increased participation, conversation. Third, creation of shared interest, common ground, and collective meaning as we bring sometimes what are transformative and difficult conversations, because they sound good in theory, but when you try to apply them, it causes sometimes heated conversations, not because people are opposed it, but just maybe they have a different take on it. Number 4, to incorporate learn best practices into courses, services, and programs. Number 5, increase awareness of our cultural competency. Number 6, operationalize action items determined by area faculty, administrators, and staff. In other words, as we look at these, how do we institutionalize them? How do we go from an idea to actually carrying it? And finally, integrate initiatives across campus. For example, how do student services and instruction connect to each other to make our students more successful? Thank you. Yes.
How many students how many faculty are going to the Great Teachers thing? You said about 100.
I think because this is administrators as well. We have a very healthy attendance for administrators, but I think of the 145, about 130 are faculty from both Columbia and MJC.
And are any adjuncts?
Yes, we opened it to adjuncts this year.
And do you have any idea how many adjuncts there
we sort of said, well, since this is for both campuses, we put the number at 30 out of the 150. I'm not sure if that's the final tally because some people have dropped out, right. But we had put the tally at 30. That would be our...
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
That's great.
I just have one request. I really appreciate your statement of goals, and I think it's very important that you have set your goals for the year or for the future. And I for one would like a copy of your goals, if I may have that. If you could email that to me. Yes,
At the next board meeting, you may get a little present. But what I'll do is we finalize our agenda today, and I have to send an email tomorrow to the faculty who are attending with the agenda and instructions, and these goals are there so that they can see them. I will make sure that all of you are CC'd if you're interested.
Yes,
in,
thank you.
And so you can see both the agenda and the goals that we have.
Thank you, Curtis.
You're very
We'll be up
welcome.
the hill next month, too, don't forget.
I like it. That's early in the semester.
I know.
So,
All right, we have the Leadership Team Advisory Council, ALTAC.
And is Wendy here? No, Wendy? No.
We have another.
I told you Brian would show up right after I gave
My apologies. Trying to learn that balance between the open door policy and actually getting your work done and getting places on time is challenging. But yeah, I want to echo Curtis's statements very briefly about the faculty retreat. I think that the MJC leadership team who put that together, including faculty and James really last year, made an inspiring event out of it. And I went, and I was you know, I'm not necessarily a retreat guy, but I thought it was fantastic. And the faculty and the leadership at Columbia College right now are very excited about it. We were just in my office today talking about some of the conversations we're going to have there and looking forward to it very much. Dr. Tenbergen asked me to bring forward a brief report from LTAC that says LTAC members are in the process of voting on the tentative agreement that was included in your board packets this evening. Based on member feedback, we may be suggesting a slight change in wording for the item 22, the issue about evaluation regarding student learning outcomes. This change would clarify that only leadership team members who are directly responsible for SLOs would be evaluated, which is what the accreditation standards is seeking for. Any questions that I could take back to him?
Any questions for Brian? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Okay, now we go to activities and announcements. First of all, Angela, President Fairchild.
I have 3 items that I've presented in writing. You know, the next 2 weeks are really going to be fraught with activity as we gear up for the start of the semester. And it's amazing that it's that close. We're looking forward to In-Service Day. I talked about that a little bit earlier. But I would like to share the enthusiasm that you felt from Curtis, because I think that we are at a landmark stage in our district, in the relationship between the 2 colleges, and the fact that you know, so many of us were invited to come to the Disney Institute training, and the energy across the district from coming together on those 2 days, the managers on the first day and all of the staff on Friday, and the carry away. I mean, before we even left MJC on Friday, we'd set up a debrief meeting for our attendees at Columbia on Monday so that we could keep the momentum going and talk about some next steps. And then next week, next Tuesday, 14 people of our colleagues from MJC, all of the deans and the VPs and Jill are coming up the hill to spend the day with us at Columbia, so that we have a whole list of things to talk about. Some of the items that will be discussed at the Asilomar retreat, but then also some carryover things that the takeaways from the Disney Institute, and then just you know, cross-district collaboration. So the energy is there. I think the willingness is there, and I think I've heard at least it's unprecedented. So I'm glad to be a part of that.
Thank you, President Fairchild. President Stearns from Modesto Junior College.
Thank you, Chair Rojas. We are rolling into a very, very busy season, and all of you are welcome to come spend the day with us tomorrow. We'll kick off with breakfast at 7:30 as we honor our classified staff with the annual appreciation breakfast. And then later in the afternoon at 4, we have our scholarship ceremony, and that's going to be in the Mary Stuart Rogers building on West Campus. As Curtis mentioned, Institute Day is going to be one that you really won't want to miss. And we have just a phenomenal, very hard to schedule and book presenter, Kimberly Papillon, who really presents the neuroscience behind implicit bias, or our own lens of experience. And it's incredibly interactive. And I have learned so much when the short period of time that I've had an opportunity to hear and engage with her in this type of presentation. So that is going to be a huge piece for us as we are really working hard to close the gaps in student achievement. It's really important that we understand our own lens and our own subconscious bias. This is not about anything that's conscious. It's really about revealing your own subconscious bias. And she actually trains the Supreme Court justices. So highly regarded expert in that area. I have two things that are not in your board packet that I want to mention. First is that just last week we wrapped up a huge project. We have a new roof on Morris Memorial. And so we are glad to keep you informed, Trustee Viss, that we're working hard to maintain our facilities and get.
Did you name it after me? The Viss roof.
I haven't been up to see. It very well may be. And the second thing is I just really want to formally extend a huge thanks to the Central Services team, who was critical to the many, many moves that MJC has made this summer. And you heard Debbie reference it this evening, and Curtis. At this point, and it's not completely done, but at this point, 70 individual staff members have been moved, and that's more than 20% of our classified staff and managers on campus. It included 65 large individual furniture pieces, such as desks, storage cabinets, etc., more than 150 computers, including 3 labs, 38 peripherals like copy machines and printers and scanners, and hundreds of boxes. And from the IT tech crew to all of the movers and electricians and carpenters and everybody who has been involved, they have been fantastic to work with. And I have to tell you that the team at MJC is incredibly thankful, and I have heard nothing but positive comments about how smoothly this has gone. So thank you all.
Thank you very much. Presentation and updates, our Chancellor.
Good evening, everyone. First, 7:30. I always wonder why they don't do a brunch for the classified celebration. But it's always 7:30 after a board meeting. But
Me too.
hey, we're there. So see you tomorrow morning. The other thing is, I did the Disney Institute about 25 years ago as a faculty in the Ventura District. And it was phenomenal back then, and everybody was doing the obvious, we're not a Mickey Mouse organization at the Ventura District, haha. But it really was an amazing thing. But the one thing that I learned from it is just doing it on the day or two almost isn't enough. It has to just be recharged like every 6 months or every year, or talked about in your meetings or talked about in other things. And I really was sorry to have missed it last week, but my daughter was having a medical procedure in LA, and it seemed more important to be mom than Mickey Mouse, so I went down there. But I really encourage you, those of you who got a lot out of the presentation, to just really keep connecting with it and talking about it, because if it was anything like the one I participated in 25 years ago, it was really quite phenomenal. And we did have a moving meeting this last month for Central Services, which is moving. And Matt and Marty and Tim and myself had it, and we had some mover come and show us how to pack. You may laugh about that, but moving computers and packing some things that we have. And everybody, and it was just like, how many times do you pack? But people had so many questions about boxes and box sizes. But I want to say thank you, Matt, and I'm glad to hear your move went well, because that'll mean our move will be going well. And as you can see from our posters on the wall, And thank you to Gina, who came up with the little sayings, and Jan and Graciela for getting them up there. But this may be hard for you to believe, but we're really excited to move from this barracks. I know, as beautiful as they are, even though has been well over 500 board meetings in this very room, and I pulled something. Actually, Matt pulled it, but I thought it was really wonderful. When we do these bond projects, we have to do things like survey reports and historic property reports and CEQA reports and all these other reports, which I have come to learn about over the years. And but I just thought this was cute, so I wanted to read it tonight because they were worried about knocking down these buildings and having our new central services built because they thought this was some kind of a historical site. And maybe there's history to it, but based upon the historical military hospital activities on the MJC West campus, a historic property site had to be conducted. And it was conducted anyway by the service for the subject site, the findings of which were presented in a September 10th report. And based on these findings of the archaeological and architectural survey, it came that this really isn't, there's no historic resources, no historic value, and this can be our new parking lot. So I just wanted to make sure that, that we did follow all of this, and this is not a historic site. So after the board meeting, we are going to have a few punch and cookies out there with YCCD on them, and that's why we have some balloons. So I invite you all to stay for that. But this will be our last board meeting in this building. Next month, we will be at Columbia, and then September 27th, we will have the ribbon cutting. Time to be determined. And I'm going to let the weather patterns pick that, because if it's going to be miserably hot that time in September, we'll do more of a morning event. But October 12th will be our first board meeting in the new building. We will not be moved in, but we're going to have our first board meeting before we move in. And then the following Monday on October 17th, I have that date firm, right, Matt? There's be no holdups over there, that we're going to be moving the chancellor's office, IT, and another area. I think Connie's area, maybe the PIO area. So we're going to be the first ones to go over there. So if technologies and things don't work, we'll get to experience it first, and it'll save me a lot of phone calls. I'll just be making them. So I wanted to share that with you. So we're very celebratory on that matter. And now I just wanted to take a moment to just acknowledge Marty Gang. He's going to be leaving us. He's taking a job in Orlando, Florida. You're going to the big Disney, right? Yes. Disney World. And Marty's going to be the chief deputy
information officer.
Thank you. Information officer at the Orange County, right? Public schools there. And he's going from our 26,000 students to 226,000 students. And from the employees he supervises to 91 employees. So Marty, I wanted to present you with this service award because I have known and worked with you over 10 years, and you have helped me out of more IT issues than I can even begin to notice. And it says the Community College District Service Award presented to Marty Gang, Assistant Vice Chancellor, Information Technology, in recognition of your dedicated service and commitment to the Yosemite Community College District. It's really pretty.
Beautiful.
And And one thing I wanted to say about Marty, whether it's somebody with a small little computer issue or their email's clogged or something, I know I've gotten emails from him at 2 o'clock in the morning when I was working late at 11 saying, I can't figure this out, and I had a whole long explanation of it. So I'm going to walk over and give you this, and if you'd like to say a few words, go ahead, Marty. Mm-hmm. Or you don't have to.
Well, give me a second. First, I'd like to say thanks to the board for their focus on excellence and their support of technology. We would not have accomplished the things that we have over the past 3 years. I want to say thank you to the Chancellor for her leadership, for her mentoring. During the time I've known her, she's proved to be a wonderful mentor who's not only made me a better leader, but a better person. She looks at the whole individual, and it has been both a pleasure and honor to serve with her and under her leadership. I want to praise her also for her vision and her compassion. To be able to lead and to take the slings and arrows and take the pain of leadership and to come out with compassion towards all that she leads and serves has been a true marker for my career and a pleasure to work under. I want to thank the cabinet for their partnership. IT can be hard to partner with. We talk a different language and we require a lot of money. They have been wonderful advocates and they have been gracious, and I want to really also thank them for their friendship, both personal and professional. I want to say special thanks to my IT staff and the managers. They have been phenomenal people to work with, and I have seen a lot of growth and a lot of commitment, and they are wonderfully committed employees to this district. And as a whole, I want to say thank you to everyone so that nobody can say, what about me? But we have wonderful faculty, staff, administrators. I will miss the people here completely and totally. I look forward to the new people I get to work with and the new trials, travails, and challenges, which is something I do thrive on. So thank you for your opportunity, and thank you for everything that you've provided both as a board and through the chancellor and through the cabinet.
Marty, on behalf of the board, I want to also thank you for your service here at Yosemite Community College District, and me having run into you a couple times trying to get something fixed. Your attitude was great, so I appreciate all the help that you give us all. Thank you for your service. Okay, we have a bond update. Who's going to do that? Matt? All right.
Mark.
Mark. All right.
Teresa, lights? Oh. Oh, lights are over there. Sorry. All confused.
No, she just magically did it.
Wow.
Okay, is it coming up?
Yes.
So tonight we'll be presenting 3 different project statuses. The first project we want to highlight is something that we've all been looking at, planning, and kind of viewing with a certain amount of trepidation, because it's a logistically a very complex and detailed thing, which is the roads and parking projects that are happening on the West Campus. And this is actually a series of projects that will happen over approximately a year's time. And because of that, there is going to be some disruption to the West Campus, and we're working very hard and trying to work very closely with the college administration to keep them informed about the way the project is working and any impacts we might have and ways we can alleviate those impacts. So this diagram indicates kind of an overview of the different parking lots that are available on the West Campus. We've used the designations that are used by the college. We have added a temporary parking lot that will replace some of the parking that will be offline at the beginning of school come August 29th. So this diagram now shows the parking lots that are highlighted in yellow, which are the yellow boxes, are the parking lots that will be open at the beginning of school on August 29th, the first day of school. We will have open 2 different access points from Brinks, and we will also have the main entrance point from Blue Gum open. Also the entrance to the district office will be open at the same time. But the parking lots that kind of surround the softball fields, the parking lots that are many times are associated with the child development program, will be offline for the beginning of school and for approximately through October. Then we will open up those parking lots, and the second phase of the project will start in February of next year. At that point, we will have access points from the 2 points at Brinks. We will have the access point from the main from Blue Gum, and also from the district office. The main impact at this phase from February to April will be the loop road connections that run kind of along the agricultural fields. And so you'll have to selectively enter from the different locations at Brinks to access different locations, particularly on the north end of the campus. Then you have the final phase, which is April through August of 2017, where at this point we will have the complete loop road. We will have access points that will allow access from 2 points on Brinks, and we will have 2 points of access that will be available from Blue Gum, including the new access point that will allow access farther to the east on the campus and will allow you to come into the campus closer to the intersection and enter in and circulate around the perimeter road of the campus. What this project mostly is the demolition and construction of the new parking lot that will replace the non-historic buildings that we're currently occupying. So this phase will go from April to August 2017. And we are looking to, this will be the completion of the parking and roads projects on the West Campus. We've been working very closely with the college administration. We've provided these diagrams that if necessary they can be distributed. These diagrams also are part of our weekly report that have been posted on the district website. So people can access this information about what's going to be open and the best way to get to and from on the West Campus. Matt has told me that at the main access point from Blue Gum, if we hit a point where all of the parking becomes full, we'll have those kind of highway road signs that will say parking is full, please divert to entrances at Brink. So we'll try to alleviate any student congestion of students coming on and not being able to find parking associated with that. We'll have parking diagrams up throughout the site so people can see different locations where there is parking available. So we'll be working very closely with the college administration to try our best to alleviate any issues associated with this, but it is a complicated, difficult thing. So we're moving forward and we're keeping our fingers crossed that everything will go well.
So when students are calling me that they have issues with parking, I can just give them your cell number?
Give them my cell phone number and I will be answering those and telling them where they can go. Yes.
Literally, yeah.
We actually should have the solar panel parking open, right? That's a couple
It is
hundred.
actually open now.
Yeah,
Yes.
and a couple hundred slots for the students to be parking there, correct?
Yes.
Just an additional, so we're trying to mitigate this as much as we can, right?
We are, not only have we opened that parking up, we'll be opening up additional parking. I think anyone that, if you drove around today, I think the site will be significantly different by the end of this month. That we'll have more parking open than we have today. That's not to say that we will have all of the parking open and there will be spots lost, but we're doing our best to get as much parking as we possibly can open because we don't want students to be dissuaded from going to class because of an inability to find a parking spot. So.
Okay, thank you.
Second project I have is, as the Chancellor mentioned, the district office building. So I have progress photos of how that's coming. As I think is always fun to see, you can't see what's happening inside the building, and so it's nice to bring those pictures in. So here's a rendering of the project that I think people have seen before. Here are the two main entrances. The top picture depicts the view from the main driveway coming off Blue Gum, and then you see the entrance from the west side, or the parking lots to the west. Next, you have some interior shots of restrooms with finishes. You have the coffee stations with finishes. Then we have what I think is some really cool light fixtures that are going up in the lobby, the round things. We have the Chancellor's office in the upper right-hand corner. We have some other shots. And then the lower right-hand corner, I think one of the things that really shows is the amount of natural light that's going to be coming into the space and really provide a really good quality of light for a lot of the interior offices that are ordinarily would be having to rely a lot more on the incandescent lights that we provide. So district office is moving along. I think the exciting thing, as was pointed out by Dr. Smith, is that we are now at the point where the next board meeting is going to be held in this new building. So I think that's a pretty exciting thing. So that's the district office building. And the third project I have is the solar array that has been installed in the existing parking lot that's to the direct north of the district office building. This is a rendering of what the solar panels will look like from the parking lot, the district office parking lot. Then you get two different views of the installation from the north from the district office building, and then a view of the panels from the science building. Just an interesting statistic you can take away from the presentation is these solar panels over a period of 1 year will generate enough power to power up 40.5 houses for an entire year. So we have a significant amount of electrical power that's being generated by these panels, which will allow us to categorize the building as net zero. So it produces more energy than it actually consumes, and so it actually provides energy back to the grid. Here's another view of the lot. As was pointed out earlier, the lot is now open, and one other thing Matt really wanted me to point out is we're flipping the switch this Friday, and we're going to start generating electricity. So we'll start generating power come this Friday. Here's some more shots of the different parts of the parking array. And a night shot, although there were no cars there, this just to show how well lit this is during the nighttime, just to focus on the safety, student safety coming out of the district office building. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions about any of the three projects or any of the other projects that we have going on.
Trustee DeMartini?
I had a question about one of the parking lots. I think I caught it was number 207 behind Yosemite and Sierra.
Let me get back to the diagram so we can
Okay.
make sure we're talking about the same thing. Okay.
So I think 207 is behind Yosemite and Sierra, is that correct? Because I can't really read it from here. The question, someone asked me why that parking lot was torn up, because it wasn't in that bad a shape, and then it was torn up, and I guess you're going to redo it. Am I wrong on that?
I think most of that's associated with the road construction, right?
Well, the loop road goes by it, but we did repair some areas in that lot which were deteriorated. It wasn't a completely new lot, but we did also add 64 new stalls in that lot. So we added parking.
Okay, and how did you manage to do that?
Well, there was some
That's great. I mean, how'd you?
yeah, there was some big areas that were landscape areas that we removed. Actually, there was no landscaping growing in them.
Okay.
So they became kind of dirt areas, but they were not being utilized for parking. Also, there was some, on the north end of the parking lot, there were some bubbles that we changed the configuration, so it added more parking stalls. So we were able to get 60, that was really the intent for 207, was to increase the number of stalls in that lot. So,
Okay.
So 64 new stalls there.
That's great. Thank you.
I have a question about 209. So are you going to be adding more parking spaces to that area, or is it just going to be essentially paved area, new pavement? And what's going to happen to the trees? And I know there's a kind of a park-like circle or area in there, and I was wondering what's going to happen to that, all of that area as you work on 209.
The park area, where a lot of events happen there, and that grassy area is going to maintain as the park area actually gets improved a bit. You know, more grass area happens there. Lot 209 doesn't change itself. It's not being renovated. Right now, it's closed because we don't have access to it. But it will be reopened. Along the road along child development, in front of child development, gets improved, so you don't have a situation where cars would back up into the drive aisle. And that was the safety concern and the change to that road along 209. It also will connect to the parking lot 211, so you won't have the dead end anymore.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
great.
you'll be able to traverse from child development to 211 and then exit the campus at the light. But with the road area in front of child development, the big improvement was to eliminate the diagonal parking that where people were backing up, which is, we wanted to eliminate that around an area where we had children.
What about the trees? I've noticed some of those trees are in pretty bad shape. Are we going to be getting rid of them, replacing them? What's the plan?
New trees. We're adding trees.
So most of those old trees will be taken down, I guess?
Some of them have been removed, not all of them, but there's been some tree removal along there. But all of the roads in the new plan receive street trees. So we're adding a large number of trees.
And we're adding sidewalk along one side of the.
And we
Yeah,
have sidewalk
that was another
along
question.
One side of the loop, so you can, for pedestrian circulation.
Walk onto campus and walk all the way around the loop road, right? Yeah, yes.
And when you talk about temporary parking, is that just basically gravel, no lines?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about when we referred to the temporary parking lot?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a gravel lot.
Okay.
And it'll remain as a gravel lot too.
Yeah, be overflow for future.
And I just had one more question about the solar. Is that, all of that energy going to be just for the central services, or does that spread out, shared throughout the campus? How does that work?
Well, the way the electrical service works for the campus is that it's all one service for both the district office and for MJC, so it'll actually contribute electricity back. And the goal is that by removing the district office from consuming any sort of resources, then that means that there's no utility impacts to the general fund for the district office. So the district office will now be entirely neutral as far as cost for from now until now on against operational. So we think that's one of the real strong benefits, is that it really removes what was previously a cost of operation from the overall general fund, and now will be neutral, so there'll be no cost. So
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Trustee Viss?
Did you say that you're adding an entrance on Blue Gum?
We are actually adding an exit onto Blue Gum. So is that correct, Matt?
You will be able to right turn into the campus.
Oh, okay, that's right.
along the, at the location closer to child development, and you will be able to exit onto Blue Gum. You won't have a left turn.
So this, right here.
Yeah.
So
You'll be able to
yeah.
come in and leave.
So you'll be able to come in here, and you'll be able to come out from here.
Will that require a light?
No, no.
That's one of the reasons we're only doing a turn from the westbound traffic. So you will not be able to turn from the eastbound traffic.
Satisfied, Don?
Suits me.
The main entrance, which we built with the traffic signal, is intended to be the main entrance to the campus. The idea is that because there wasn't good circulation around the entire campus, and because we also are improving, though I didn't mention it, we're improving the Brink entrance exit, because if you've ever pulled out from that Brink's exit, it's almost a blind you're almost, you're actually facing traffic that's coming behind you. And so we'll actually now hit Brink